What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. So this week I'm going to be doing a lot more individual reviews, and I've been spending time with this for about 4 days now. I'm actually wearing it currently as my scent of the day. I've been spraying it every night, spending time with it a little bit during the day, a couple days, and I'm impressed by this. This is easily going in my top 5 design releases of the year. Today we're going to be talking about Boss Bottled Elixir, the newest release in the Boss Bottled line, and I've got kind of some interesting thoughts on this one, I would say. It's not easy to get right now. I did buy this from overseas, but we're going to dive into this one. So stay tuned. So since I have not thrown the box away yet, we will take a look at the box. Black and gold, I mean, seem a little partial to that color scheme, you think? Just saying. But here you can see it says Bottled Elixir. I bought the 50 ml at retail. 50 ml is plenty for me. They have a barcode to scan. Notes on the back, you can see incense, vetiver, and cedarwood, which you do get all of those. I have to say, we'll discuss the scent profile in a little bit. Code and stuff like that. Nothing special. Now, what's different about this bottle versus all the rest is this is the first Boss Bottled fragrance I have with this on the top of the cap. I've never seen this print on top of the cap. Aside from that, it's standard Boss Bottle stuff. It does say Bottled Elixir in gold right before the embossed glass portion that says Boss. So Boss Bottled Elixir. You have some fragrance info and batch code information here on the sticker on the bottom. You can see it says Parfum, so it is a pure Parfum concentration supposedly. And, you know, standard stuff for the atomizer. Does good. But let's talk about this scent. So when this one opens up, you have to be a fan of incense. That's what draws me into this fragrance so much. Is those of you that watch on a regular basis, you know how much I love smoky nuances, especially frankincense and olibanum. It's up there with iris for like some of my favorite accords and notes. I love that, and you get incense through and through on this one. So the cardamom's not dominant here. If anything, it adds a little bit of this minty tone, fresh spice, more so than a warm spice. And it is a little bit on the dry side of things. Very dry, woody, slightly creamy feel. Even a little bit of like a dusty leather facet, because there's some labdanum in here. I wouldn't say a hefty leathery accord, but a little bit. There's a little bit of powderiness to this, just a touch on my skin, and not super warm like you would think. Like it starts off a little fresh, dries down, slightly warm wood feel, but it doesn't change greatly. So is a little bit of a darker, smoky, funky smell in the top, and I don't mean funky like a oud funk, just interesting, kind of dirty feel to it, if you will. In the opening, a lot of incense, dominant frankincense in the top. And like I said, it dries down, the spice starts to fade a little bit. Now, you'll see online people comparing this to Sauvage Elixir. I don't really think so. I think that's an unfair comparison. I think because there's some spice in the name Elixir, that's an automatic comparison. I would say at best it's got 20 to 30% similarity in the scent profile. Some of the spice in the woods, I get where they're coming from, but Sauvage Elixir, immensely more spicy than this. Much drier than this. Whereas this is all about, it really is all about incense and patchouli. Is really what this, it's a smoked dry patchouli, a little bit of creaminess, with a strong woody support to the aroma. That's really what this fragrance is. And if any of that sounds good, you'll like it. It's not run-of-the-mill, mass appealing stuff. It does not smell like Boss Bottled. Just like the Parfum did not smell like Boss Bottled, but it is a good fragrance. Same thing here. This is even better than the Parfum. That was iris and leather. It's a really good fragrance. Just doesn't smell like Boss Bottled. Again, doesn't smell like Boss Bottled, not to me. I have the deep dry down. I've had it on for hours and hours at this point with today's wearing, and it's not Boss Bottled. Faint, maybe, if you want to talk about spice and woods, but that's the same thing people are saying with Sauvage Elixir. So, but the main thing is it smells really, really good. The quality's decent. It doesn't smell super synthetic. I've seen people say maybe Sauvage Elixir with Boss Bottled Oud. Not so much, because I don't really get that synthetic medicinal oud feel. that's in Boss Bottled Oud. Like, I don't get any correlation to that scent because that smells like Boss Bottled, Boss number 6, plus that synthetic oud smell. That smells like Boss Bottled. This does not. It's very individualistic and kind of a standalone. I do think it's okay, believe it or not, that they put it in the Boss Bottled line, because if you really dig deep into the scent profile and you do a side-by-side as they dry, opening, not even a little bit of a similarity. But in the dry down, sure, you can correlate one to the other. You can pick up, nuance of Boss Bottled's deep dry down to Boss Bottled Elixir's dry down. There's a correlation there, so that's why I'm okay with it. I can understand. I can tie it to it in some ways, though it doesn't smell like a Elixir version of Boss Bottled. Not what I would have picked it to be. But I would say just on scent alone, this is an absolute banger as we move into the fall season. Summer's starting to wind down. People are starting to wear heavier fragrances because they're just sick of the freshies. And this is going to be a hit for a lot of people. This smells incredible. Performance. Longevity. So the very first spray, when I first got it, I opened the box in the late afternoon, sprayed it. The next morning when I went to the gym, it was still in my hand, and I had taken a shower since and probably washed my hands at least 2 times, and it was still there. Pretty much a skin scent. It was a skin scent at that point, but it was still there. Every other test spray I've done, I can easily clock in the 12-hour range. So I can tell you safely, 10 to 12 hours in longevity. Projection is slightly above average, not overwhelming. If you spray this one heavy, it'll probably be a very obnoxious fragrance. Probably super cloying. I haven't done more than, what do I have on now? 5 sprays? I have 5 sprays on currently. I think that's the sweet spot for me because it's very present. I'm constantly getting whiffs of myself hours and hours into the wear. So 5 to 7 sprays is on the heavier side for this, I think. It's not crazy powerful like a Boss Bottled Elixir or anything like that, but it is stronger than most fragrances in the line, if not every fragrance in this line. Projection, again, in that 2-hour range, hour and a half, 2 hours is the strength of this fragrance as far as it pushing off the skin. Slightly better than average, moderate to heavy kind of stuff. And then the sillage is on the moderate side. Like I said, I'm constantly getting reminders that this is here when I make certain movements, and it's a constant reminder type of fragrance. It radiates off of the skin with true consistency, which you would want with something that's a parfum concentration or something named Elixir in the first place. So it's not a beast. I would say it's a notch, maybe notch and a half below a beast. It's super long lasting, and it's very present, very distinguishable and detectable. You'll smell it constantly, but it's never overwhelming or pungent or just too strong, straight up too strong. So for that, it's very above average, very strong across the board without being too much. Final thoughts about Boss Bottled Elixir. It's impressive. It's a great pickup. I was so intrigued by this. And shout outs to Sean Connolly, one of my channel members. He sent me a link to scoop this up. Could have grabbed the 100 ml. I was like, no, 50 ml is going to be fine. Glad I did. I don't need a lot of sprays. It's a situational, seasonal, more seasonal than anything type of fragrance for me. So 50 ml is going to go a very long way. So shout outs to Sean for sending me the link so I could get this from overseas. Took about a week and a half, 2 weeks to get to me, but I'm glad to have it now. I've been spending a lot of time with it, and I'm very happy with it. I think this is a great fragrance, 8.5 out of 10 type of thing. It is a great fragrance. I think it's one of the best designers released this year. Now, I'm not ready to put it above what is my personal favorite designer release of the year, Spice Bomb Infrared Eau de Parfum. That's my personal favorite release of the year, but I'd say you can insert anything at number 2 of these 4 for me with this, Boss the Scent Magnetic, and Le Male Elixir. Like, that's currently my top 4, with my clear-cut number 1 being Infrared Eau de Parfum. You can put any one of the other 3 in the number 2 hole. There's really none outrank. I just like Spice Bomb Infrared Eau de Parfum a little more than the rest, but that's kind of like my 4 favorite, my main favorite designer releases of the year. Things like Issey Miyake, L'Odyssey Vetiver, and so on. There's a lot of other really, really good releases that will make the top 10 video to close the year out. But just know that this immediately goes into that top tier upper echelon of designer releases of the year for me at 8.5 out of 10. Great. Well, that's my thoughts and feelings on the brand new release, Boss Bottled Elixir. Hopping on the Elixir train for naming of fragrances, and they did it justice. It smells like what you would expect with the Elixir flanker, as they've been going with dark and mysterious. Ralph's Club Elixir, for example, that's a darker fragrance. It's a bit more dressy than the previous 2 releases. That's another one I forgot to mention. That's going to be in the top 10 design releases of the year. That's a great fragrance too. Like, there's the Elixir fragrances, they haven't really missed. They're usually really, really good, because they kind of have a standard to live up to because of what their competition is doing with their Elixir flankers. So I think Hugo Boss had a really good showing with this, a great showing, honestly. So it's worth trying if you can get your nose on it. Obviously, at the recording of this, I don't have any links to put below on where to get it. I'll put the link to where I got it from. I don't know how helpful that'll be for you guys if you want to wait and for a little while to get it. But it'll be in the States sooner than later. I would suggest doing that. But until next time, do me a real quick favor. Go ahead and like, comment, subscribe. So I do appreciate all the feedback, and I love hearing from you guys. How many of you already got your nose on this? What do you think about it? I was very eager to get this one. It's not all the time that I'll just buy one from overseas before it hits the States. That's how excited I was to get it, and it lived up to my expectation. It's at minimum as good as I was hoping it would be. Until next time, I will say, if you get your hands on Boss Bottled Elixir and you give it a spray now, pretty confident you'll thank me later, especially if you like incense. Have a good one, guys.